local history, local culture, local events, your community. This is the Joe Kelly Show.
Hi there, everybody. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. Ed Welch is our guest, and there he is. He is the CEO and president of the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. We're going to talk to him about all the activity that's going on down there, and there's a lot of activity. But before we do that, we're going to say welcome, Ed.
Good morning.
And socially distant as we are, but we go forward. The COVID, Ed, how has it affected Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired?
Like Joe, like everybody, Joe, it's been very difficult. You know, who would have thought it? You know, when we got to St. Patty's Day, really we started to think about it being something more than just something that was going to pass quickly. But you know, by March 23rd, we basically were shutting ourselves down and trying to figure out how we're going to operate. And we figured that out. We never closed, not for a single day.
Mm. The guidelines that you have in place down there, Ed, most people were forced to close. You put some guidelines in place. What were they? How are you staying open?
Well, the first thing we did was eliminate all travel out of our local area before it was eliminated by every place else. We also closed the building to visitors, and we began taking the temperature of every person that came in the door. We quadrupled our cleaning, began building a sanitation cleaning process for the entire facility. And then, of course, we engaged a biohazard firm that if we should have a breakout, we were able to recover from it within hours if it was to occur.
Yeah.
You know, the products we produce at CABVI are PPE related for the state of New York and for the federal government and other customers. So we were basically essential right from the beginning of this, and we never missed a beat. We're
going to get into some of those products in just a second. Let me get some history in here first, though, Ed. CABVI has been around since 1929, if I remember my history correctly. And the thing that amazes me, in all that time, I think that, let me see if I can name them. Helen McBride was the first one who started as executive director. And then you had Don Legitis, am I pronouncing that?
Don Legitis.
Legitis,
he was there for 37 years.
Yeah, and then you had Rudy D'Amico, and now you. 4 executive directors in all those years. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, the agency has been blessed with longevity of their leadership, and really in our leadership team, we really don't have any turnover, so most of the folks have been there a long time. That continuity, of course, in leadership is very, very important for any organization. You know, what company has a good future if it has continual turnover, especially in its leadership and management? And the same goes with our board members. Most of our board members have been there for many, many years, and we have term limits on our board, but it turns out that after term limits are over, they want to come back and serve further. So it really has been blessed for us to have many, many board members that be around for a lot of years. And of course, you can't replace experience. So that was a hallmark of our organization, that our volunteers, our board members, and our employees have a lot of longevity.
How many, I mean, CABVI employs not just the blind and visually impaired. You have people that aren't blind and visually impaired, correct?
Correct. We have about 272 employees as of today, and about 120 of them are blind and visually impaired. And
the kinds of work that they do, now you've got offices down on Kent Street. That's where the headquarters is, yes?
Yeah, we have several buildings. Matter of fact, we have about 300,000 square feet of facilities. If we look at all of our footprint, for example, in Syracuse, our Syracuse operation, we have a 66,000 square foot.
I forget you have Syracuse, yeah.
Yep, we have manufacturing and warehouse in Syracuse, about 66,000 square feet. Our Kent Street building is about 72,000 square feet, and that's production and administrative offices. We have an 87,000 square foot warehouse operation over at Dwyer Ave, which is down by the post office. And of course, half a block from there, across from Masonic, is our Bleecker Street operation, which is about 45,000 square feet. That's manufacturing and warehouse as well.
You got fortunate, didn't you, not, Ed, when General Electric, I remember, I was a lot younger, but I remember when General Electric radio receiver was going 24/7 in this town, turning out more transistor radios than anywhere else in the world. And they had Kent Street, and when Radio Receiver was no more, they gifted that to CABVI, yes?
They did, and at the time our chairman, Charlie Gaetano, who is a director emeritus but has been with us all the way back into the 70s, due to his efforts and certainly Don Legitimacy and some of the other board members, they convinced General Electric to give us that building, and it became our headquarters and main production area for many, many, many years.
Yeah. The CABVI talked about the services for a second. I think some people will recognize the services because they'll see a blind or a visually impaired person, sometimes on Genesee Street, walking with a cane with somebody helping them. That's one of the services. It is,
and that's really our goal, is to keep people as independent as possible to the level of comfort that they are comfortable with. So if you have vision loss or you're blind, well, first we'll evaluate where you're at so we can see what vision you have left, if any, and then we'll figure out how to work with that. And of course, we'll begin by teaching you what you can do, which is pretty much almost anything but drive a car.
Well,
so
you know,
that's the way we look at it, is we can get you to do anything except probably drive your car.
And I'm glad you mentioned car because you jogged my memory. I want to talk later on in the show about Vehicles for Vision, which is a big fundraiser for, and the thing that you spearheaded for a lot of years. I was reading something on your website, and it said if you come across somebody with a cane and they're standing there and trying to cross the street, how you should approach them. It's very good instruction on that. I remember I did that once, that I went up to somebody, I thought they were trying to cross Genesee Street. I went over, I introduced myself, I asked if I could help get across Genesee Street, and he said, well, I'm very appreciative, but I'm waiting for the bus.
Yeah, you should never assume, but also recognize that you see people out there, they want to be independent.
Yeah.
When COVID hit, as an example, and we had any discussion about whether you want to come to work or not, our employees bristled at the concept of not coming to work.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was up to the management team to keep the place safe, which we did, but we knew that our employees are very dedicated. Were not interested in going home. They wanted to continue their mission and continue working. And as public transportation changed and availability to get to work, we worked with our people. We went and picked them up if we had to, if there was issue with buses. There was problems with some buses, for example, coming out of the valley. And there was a lot of, especially in the early days of into April, there was so much uncertainty, nobody knew what to do.
Yeah.
So basically, we just kept everything tight and took care of everything we needed to take care of.
You got a new production facility. When we come back, let's talk about that new production facility. And I want to ask you how that Vehicles for Vision program is going. Ed Welch is our guest. He is the president and CEO of CABVI. Short break, right back.